in the bunker, we were so squished all together. We were all so scared for our lives. There was shooting. Finally, the shooting stopped. And we were allowed to go out. As a 5-year-old girl, all I wanted to go out and play. I got out. And I sat on the steps of the stairs outside, just looking at the sun and soaking its warmth. Right next to me sat my brother, who was 4 years old, holding him right there. Then all of a sudden, we hear more shoots. Then this bullet comes and then skims the hair of the lady that was sitting right in front of us. Everybody got into a frenzy, trying to see if she was still alive or not. She was okay. Then all of a sudden, I hear my brother lean more towards me. I look down at him, and then I realize that that same bullet that went through the lady's hair went into my brother's shoulder, and he was full of blood. My brother was one of the lucky ones, and he survived. Let me tell you, life was really tough in that refugee camp. That's where I was born, and that's all I knew. Everything happened to me there was totally out of my control. The war ended, and we went back to our home. But that night, we all slept together in one room. And that room was so small, and it had one of those like metal sheets as a roof or as a ceiling, and they had a lot of holes. And then when it rained, we would have pots all over the room collecting rain drops from this leaky roof. We did not have much. Some nights, we only had bread dipped in tea for dinner. But I've always felt so lucky because at least we had the bread and the tea where other families had nothing. I did not have much, but I've always felt I had everything because I had my family and their love. Fast forward 10 years later, and I was 15 years old. It was another beautiful winter day. It was sunny, and I was walking home with my girlfriend. I was very, very happy. I mean, I had my dreams and my thoughts about what I want to be when I grow up. I wanted to be a teacher, by the way. And I was so happy, and I was just walking home. And I was approaching the steps of my door. All of a sudden, something unusual. It was an average day, but yet nothing was average about that day or that, moment. I didn't realize that soon I would find out that a decision was made that would change my life forever. So as I was approaching the steps of my home, I heard commotion, a lot of people talking, and I also smell the sense of the food that's being cooked, and I got so excited, I was so hungry, and I wanted to rush and go in. As soon as I opened the door, I see my aunt, or actually my aunt notices me. And then all of a sudden she yells, "Tahani, congratulations!" Like, oh, what's happened? And all of a sudden, I hear this voice that says, "You just got married." Then I hear another voice that says, "And you're going to Canada." Every little girl dreams of her wedding day. Yet, that day, I stood still, shocked and confused about what I just heard. I was so scared. I ran to my dad. And I cried and I begged my dad, "Dad, please call off the marriage." "But Dad, I want to stay with you, my mom and my brothers and my sister." Dad said, he looked me in the eyes and said, "Tahani, this is all happening for you." "But Dad, I don't know if I can make it on my own." Dad looked me in the eyes again and said very quietly, "Yes, you can." I leave. Few months later, and I go on an airplane. And as I look down, I find myself leaving everything that's familiar and known to go into the unfamiliar and unknown. I was so scared, feeling so lonely, and didn't know if I can make it on my own. I landed into Canada, and I would go to school. And school was really hard. Not only I was shocked because I just got married, but also seeing what other 15 years old girls in the school were doing. They would go home and play after school, where I had to go home and attend to my housewife duties, cooking, cleaning, and studying. Not only studying, but picking like word by word from the dictionary, looking what it means and how I can actually do my lessons. It was really tough. Yet again, things continued to happen that were out of my control. These hardships carried for years, throughout my life, for 22 years later. But nothing would prepare me for what is the hardest time that is yet to come. At age 37, I decided to make the hardest and toughest decision of my life. I decided to leave the marriage. I did not give up so easily. I mean, I was married for 22 years trying to make it happen. Going through the divorce was so hard. For anybody to go through a divorce is so hard, let alone for someone who have, support. But for someone who did not have support, is even harder. My own mother would not even want to talk to me. How could you do this, Tahani? You are shaming the whole family. But Mom, I cannot stay in this marriage. I have to do it, and I have to do it not for me anymore, but it's for my own kids. I have to be the role model for my kids, the person that they would look up to. I wanted to teach them that no matter how bad the situation feels or how much they feel stuck in any situation or relationship, that they too have a choice, that they can choose to leave or stay, but it is a choice, and I choose to leave. Leading by example and showing them that no matter what, there is a choice. I had no money, not even no support, but also no money. I didn't know how I can make it on my own. All along I've relied on my husband for financial and for money. That's what a man does, right? Helps take care of the family. It is time again to face my biggest fear and to go into the unknown. At that time, I did not know if I could afford to rent a house. I was in real estate, and I did not have steady income. I was lucky enough, and sometimes there's points in our life that we have some luck. I was lucky enough to talk to a bank manager who was able to arrange for a mortgage for me. And I took on a huge risk, and I bought my first house. With the key in my hand, I opened to the door to my new home, and all I would do is cry and cry. I was feeling like, why me? Why life have to be so hard? Then all of a sudden, I had to snap out of it. I got up, dried up my tears, and I picked up the phone and I sponsored a less fortunate kid. Because I had to remember that same feeling that my parents instilled in me in the refugee camp, and that is, no matter how bad you have it, someone else has it worse. Despite the hardships that year, I felt for the first time in my life that I was in control. That year was really bad. It was so bad, but I was committed to do whatever it takes to go through it. I started going out and asking for business. Even asking for business was really hard before, but I had to ask for business. So I went on and asked and asked. And then finally, I stumbled at a friend of mine. His name is Ash. I said, Ash, do you want to buy a house or sell a house? He's like, no, Tahani, but I'm looking to buy a property, and these are the requirements. And he was talking about vacancy fee, and he was talking about ROI, and I did not know what he was talking about, as if I was hearing a different language. I said, if you tell me what you want, I would be willing to go out there and get you that property, which we did. What he was talking about, Ash, is that he wanted to get a flip, a house that would hit fix and sell. and we got him a house. 4 months later, and then we would sell it again, and he would make $48,000. At that point, a light in my head went on. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. How can I help more people do the same thing? See, being resilient through this time, I felt like finally I was making a difference in other people's lives, but while at the same time making a difference in my own life. The more I helped others, the more I helped myself. 4 years later, and I would pay off the mortgage in full. And that is something that would take an average family in Canada 25 to 35 years. I did it in 4. Life got better. But still, there were a lot of challenges on the way that I had to deal with. But since then, I was asked to speak on stages all across Canada. I mean, it's like miracles happening around me all of a sudden after all that hardship. I was teaching thousands of people how to make money through real estate investing. That led me to becoming a real estate coach and one of Canada's top experts on this topic. I opened my own brokerage, just only focused on real estate investors. And I also started building houses. How amazing that was. The best thing is that Wiley and Sons, a publisher, approached me to write a book about the subject. The best thing about that book is that I decided to give away 100% of the royalties to help empower females in third world countries through education. Today, my mission is to empower women, as many women as I can help, to become financially independent and secure through real estate investing. Tell you, when I look at my life, or I look back at my life, there were few things that were sort of like a threat that kept showing up in my life. And those are the things that really got me through what I was going through, and then when the hard times show up. And I'll tell you that the first thing, and it's always there, is that I have to come from a place of a gratitude. No matter how bad I have it, someone else has it worse. You know, and then when you look at your life, you always think that there is someone else that has it worse. Second thing is that we cannot control what happens to us, but we sure know, or we can control the outcome of how to react to those things that happen to us. Yeah, I could not control the marriage. I could not control being born in the refugee camp. But I came to Canada and I made the best out of it here. The last thing is really resilience. What is resilience? Is that no matter how many times I got knocked down, I would get up and I would move forward. Now, I still have a whole life ahead of me and so much that I still want to do and make a difference in other people's life. And I sure know that I will still have challenges and adversity on my way there, but nothing was going to keep me down. I will keep moving forward. Thank you.